All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us on this very special, unique stream, a collab between Electric Bat and IE Pinball, and who's given us the opportunity to stream the finals of Classics. Is that right, John?
Yes, the final round.
Right. And why are we streaming this final round of Classics?
Because I ended up winning it.
Right, and this is not about spoiler alerts. If you're watching this, you probably might know already that our local hero, John Shopple, has won the INDISC World Championship Classics, and that's why we're here. Now, John...
2025.
2025, that's right. Now, John, we're friends, right?
Yes.
And we like talking pinball.
Right.
Have we talked about this stream or any of your tournament yet?
Very little.
Right. We have purposely avoided it so that we could have fresh takes on this. And the plan is to together watch the final 3 games. This is the final round of INDISC World Championship Classics. And so that we could look through all 3 games and go through the mind of a champion like yourself, what you were thinking at all these steps, and were you happy, and what moves were you trying to do? Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Excellent. I want to give some thanks before we start here. I want to thank Cale and Rachel, and especially Cale in this particular case, for setting up. He's this one-man production crew who set up this whole thing. Cale and Rachel, the owners of Electric Bat. I want to thank as well Carl, of course, for letting us use his stream, and IE Pinball. Shout out to them. And then this stream, I just want to stress, is not the typical commentator stream. We're doing a very in-depth analysis of the games in a way that you couldn't really do live on the stream. And especially, not just because you can't do it live in the stream, but it's also when 50,000 people are watching, as eventually 50,000 people did watch this stream.
Wow.
Twitch viewers, that's a lot of people. When you have that many people watching, you can't go into the nitty-gritty details like we're going to do. So just want to shout out that to everyone's attention that this is an in-depth stream. It's a little bit unusual. It's not for everyone. I won't be going over, how to, nudge the machine in basic terms. It's like assuming some background in pinball. Fair?
Yes.
Next thing is, as we go through each game, and we're about to do it, I'm going to try to do it with a certain order. First, I have to give a trivia question. John, it's not a Surge commentary stream on Electric Bat without trivia questions, and so I hope you're up for it. I think you could get them.
Okay.
And then we'll talk about rules of the game. We'll talk about settings of each machine, and we'll talk about strategy. Now that you know the rules, what is your strategy going into it? What are you going to try to do? And then we'll, of course, commentate on the game. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So with that said, we're going to go to it and talk about the very first game. So the 4 players that are in this right now are Arvid Fligari, I hope I said that right, Neil Graff, and John Shopple, and Timber Engelbein.
Right. And they didn't update the names on here for another minute.
Exactly.
Or a few more seconds.
And so right off the bat here, we have Joker Poker. And I want to ask you, you're not picking these games because you're not top seed, right?
Right.
How did you feel about Joker Poker being first game?
I liked it because I played it twice in qualifying and did well on it. I had over 200,000 both games, between 200,000 and 300,000, which was a pretty good score. And I played it the round before, and I actually didn't do that well. I had just over 100,000, but I just felt like I had some bad luck on that one. So I was comfortable with this game compared to some of the other games they had there. And
Electric Bat, where we play all the time, every week at least, has a Joker Poker. Was
Right.
that a good thing or a bad thing for you?
I think it's good. Their play field, I think there's the same one. They had a pinball at the lab. I played it in the finals there 2 years ago, 2023, in Riverside. And the play field is a little better shape, and the flippers might be a little snappier. But it drained a little more. The one here at the bat, the inserts are cupped a little, so it kind of saves it on the outlane a little bit. But I felt like it played equal to, or maybe even better than.
You thought so?
One here.
I thought it played. When I was watching this, I was like, "Wow, this is playing fast."
Plays fast, but I like the flippers feel a little more accurate, which I like.
And there's one setting in particular that's notable on this game is extra balls are on.
Right.
And
they let you play the extra balls.
They let you play extra balls. How are we going to get our extra ball on this game? You want to tell the fans?
If you get the 4 aces and the Joker on the 5 bank, or you complete the ABC lanes, which is ABC at the top, and B is the in lane, but if it goes out the A or C at the bottom, you're going to drain the ball.
But after you get the 5
right.
aces, plus Joker, 4 aces plus Joker, or after you get the 3 ABC lanes.
There's a little target
one.
up in the upper right that you have to hit. It lights up. It says extra ball, one lit.
And this was the only game in the Classics that they were letting you play extra balls. And it's really important to stress that because we're going to talk about strategy in a moment, but it's a viable strategy to go for extra ball.
Right.
You know,
I don't know. They may have had some other ones in the bank, but I don't remember what they were. That maybe had an extra ball.
Fair enough. Next, sorry, you were going to say?
No.
I want to give a trivia question. Like I said, we're going to start off with a trivia question. So this is a Gottlieb 1978. That's why I'm representing Raven, a fellow Gottlieb game. But as you can tell, this game has a lot of drop targets. John, how many drop targets does it have? That's not the trivia question, by the way.
15.
Correct. I knew you'd get that fast because you're a math guy. That's a whole lot of drop targets.
Right.
Name games that have the same or higher number of drop targets.
Any era?
Any era. I will accept any era. There's not that many, actually.
Right.
There's about 10 I can think of. I'm not going to make you guess all 10.
Yeah.
But I'm going to give you some clues if you're not nailing it.
Are we going to come back to it, or are we answering it right now?
I want the answer right now.
I don't know. World Poker Tour? How many does that have?
That was the tricky one. Yeah, that was the most recent game that has more targets than that. World Poker Tour has 16 drop targets, and it's a Stern. Now, there's another game here at the bat that has equal number of 15 drop targets. That's my next clue. So I'm going to give you a few clues.
Sinbad only has 10.
That's true. It's not Sinbad. And I know you're a tech here at the fabulous Electric Bat Arcade here in Tempe, Arizona. And so I figured if anybody would get this, it would be you as you work on fixing these drop targets, which rarely break, by the way.
There's so many games here, though.
That's
it's
true.
Hard to...
All right, I'll narrow it down. It's a classic,
right?
First of all.
It's not hot dogging.
Nope, it's not hot dogging. That does have a lot, though. All right, look, I'm not going to put you on too much of a spot here. I'll give you another clue. It is a Stern classic.
Meteor.
Has
5 plus 9.
No, it has 6 plus 9.
Oh, 6 plus 9.
Meteor
yeah.
is 6 letters plus 3, 3, and 3. There's the 15 drops. All right, I'm going to give one more. Now, poker is a very common, or card games are very common to have lots of drop targets, right? We just talked about Joker Poker, for example. I'll give you another one. And we talked about World Poker Tour, you mentioned, has 16 targets. There's one game from the 90s that has 17 targets. It's a poker-based game. And I'll give you another clue, Data East.
17 drop targets, Data East from the 1990s.
Poker-related theme. You don't play it much. You probably don't see it much. It's not a big competition game. I will tell. I'm not going to make everyone sit here and
Pistol Poker.
Nope.
I don't even know what that is.
90s. You want the answer? Mel Gibson movie. Jodie Foster, Mel Gibson. I forget who else is in it. Fans watching know this answer by now, but that's okay. This is not for the INDISC World Championship. This is just for fun.
Was Mel Gibson on the artwork?
Yeah, he was. He sure was. I'll tell you the answer.
Not Die Hard.
No, but that was Bruce Willis. And that should be a pinball machine, a Christmas-themed pinball machine, in my opinion.
What am I thinking of?
You're thinking of Die Hard with Bruce Willis, but the answer is Maverick.
Oh, I wouldn't have guessed that.
You wouldn't have guessed that, right? It's not a common game. Data East, Maverick, 17 drop targets. So it has a whole lot. But anyway, we move on. All right, so the next one is, let's talk about the rules. Now, do you want to do the rules?
You can do them.
All right, so this game, there are 2 settings to know about it. Number 1, it's 5-ball, and this game can be done as 5-ball or 3-ball. And I'm really glad they do this game as 5-ball because it lets you play all 5 of these. And what I mean by that is on ball 1, you have the 10s, and your job is to knock down the entire 10 bank, which in the case of 10s is only 1 drop target. If you do that, you'll get 5x bonus, like Arvid has already done, and that's why it's dropped down here. The next ball, ball 2, you'd want to hit both jacks, and that's here, and then you get 5x bonus. And then the next ball is ball 3, and that's the money ball, people say, because it's a lot easier to hit the queens than those other and survive than the other drop targets. And then ball 4, you want to hit the 4 kings, and then ball 5, you want to hit the 5 aces.
Right.
If you hit them in out of order, if you get the 5 aces on the 10 ball, that's fine. It helps you build up your bonus. But if you want the 5x bonus, you have to hit the corresponding drop target on that ball. Fair enough?
Right. And your bonus is the number of it corresponds to the banks.
Right.
It's shown above the flippers.
And you see it right here. So, for example, Arvid, he's got the 10 drop down, and so that's why he's at 5x. But in the meantime, he also got his queens down. We just joined in the middle of his ball 1. And so right now, he would get 1,000 plus 3,000, 4,000 times 5, 20,000 bonus at the end.
Correct.
So that's one way people play it. The most obvious way is to build up bonus, get the appropriate drop target on the appropriate ball. The second way I think people play is just get an entire bank down, typically the queens. And after you get a single bank down on any ball, subsequent hits to each drop target are worth
5,000.
5,000 points.
They're
That's
normally
right.
only 500.
Right. And so after you hit, right now, every queen he hits, because he's already gotten the queens, will give him another 5,000 points. And you can get 2 queens at a time and get 10,000. It registers both typically. And so you could get 10,000, 10,000 each hit. So some people go for that instead of the bonus X. So you think that's a viable strategy?
Yes. And the ball you start on, like on ball 1, the 10 starts worth 5,000. And you start with the bonus for the 10. So you start with 1,000 bonus.
Yep.
On ball 4, you start, all the kings are worth 5,000 to start, and you start with 4,000 bonus for the kings. And then getting the kings down gives you the 5x.
Love that. And so that was the second strategy, is build up bonus and 5,000 targets. And then the final third strategy to mention is, again, extra balls are on, and we're going to see that play out during the course of this game. And so that's a really viable strategy to go for, to make sure you have extra balls. You can play unlimited extra balls if you want.
Right.
And in particular, one way, as I said, is ABC. When you're plunging, which lane do you want to get into?
Not the B.
Correct. And why not the B?
Because you can get it on the in lane.
Right. What he's saying is, here's the B, but you can get it anyway here or here, whereas the A, B, and C... Sorry, A and C, rather. The A and C you could only get on the out lanes, which means you're not going to get an extra ball out of it. So
it's very hard to hit it back up top and get it into the A or the C after the plunge.
Yep, that's right. That's fair to say, too. And I think we'll watch Arvid do that a few times, though, but it is hard to do. So with that all said, let's watch the rest of this ball and going into you, which is player 2.
So I had played Arvid the round before, and we had played Joker Poker. You can only pick a game once. If you're the high seed in each group, you get to pick the games. But he actually deferred on 2 of the games. And Peter Frank, also from Sweden, I believe, he let him pick because he was the next highest seed, and he picked Joker Poker in the round before. So Arvid was able to pick it in this round.
Got it. And so here you come up to the plunge. They commented on your classic pinball uniform.
Right.
Which is the cargo shorts. That's a well-known pinball uniform.
So here I'm trying to just plunge into the top lanes, but then I plunge too hard.
But C is great.
Right.
A, B, C, as we said. A or C, rather, but not B.
It has that weird bounce, this game, where it hits the in lane just above the left flipper, and it can sometimes just bounce right up.
There's his B, by the way. Yeah, you never had really control of that ball, I would say, on that ball 1.
Right, but these classic games, anytime even if you hit your shot, you're out of control. So,
yeah,
there's a lot of luck involved. But this is 5 balls, so you hope that over 5 balls, the luck evens out.
Right. Now, Neil got his B lane, which is not optimal, and then he drains out.
So he kind of had a lot of bad luck right there.
Which drain is more common, left out lane or right out lane? I have my answer. I mean,
I think on this one, maybe equal.
You think so?
But maybe the left? I don't know.
The reason I would say left is, if you'll allow me, is that here the angle where the top of the sling versus the top of the in-lane, out-lane post is at an oblique angle, whereas here they're kind of even. And so you get an opportunity to bounce it a lot more and get it out of that danger zone, whereas on the left, like right there, well, that he did get it out because he's really good, of course. But it's really easy to drain out that because it's hard to get it. It's hard to totally get it out. The best you could sometimes do is just get it back in the in lane. Is that fair?
Yes. Oh, so see that one kind of bounced like I was talking about. Now going into this, I know all 3 of these players are very good. So the prize pool for first was a little over $4,020.
$4,020, right?
And third place, I forget, it was $1,500 or $1,700, something like that. So the difference between first, second, third, and fourth, you're talking $500 or $600.
Second place was $2,900. That's what I remember.
Okay.
And I actually wrote it down. How about that? The third and fourth. The third was $2,200.
So I wasn't going in thinking I could win. I was thinking,
you wanted $1,500.
On these classics, I have a good chance to get third or second even.
Right.
And that's,
average between 2,900 and 2,200, and you might
yeah,
walk
because
away
Arvid, as it shows here, was number 4 in the world, I think. And at the time,
Do you think about that when you're going into playing against these people?
Neil Graff was 12 and Timber was 18 in the world.
Mm. And John, what are you in the world right now? Do you
I
know?
know Arvid's very good, and I know Neil's good. I never really knew of Timber's name.
I've seen him on stream. He's from Belgium,
right.
and but he plays in a lot of European tournaments.
But at this point in the tournament, I had played in a group with Escher and had a little bit of luck advancing through that round. I had played against Luke Horniak and gotten a tiebreaker and ended up advancing. So at this point, I was just figuring on these classics, anything can happen, and just play your best,
Right. Now, Arvid's disappointed himself because every time you drain and the flipper hits the ball, touches the ball, you feel like you could have saved it.
And he got an extra ball, so he gets to play his extra ball.
I'm going to point that out because this was a good opportunity. So if you notice, right now, the extra ball is lit, or it was when he just got it. And it was lit right there, and that's how he collected the extra ball, so he's going to play again. And it says it here, same player shoots again right there. So this is his extra ball, which is huge in this game.
Right.
And again, we're on jacks right now because this is ball 2, so he's going to go for the jacks on purpose. But they're dangerous. And now he's gone.
We usually play this almost every week here at the bat, so I know that you can sometimes have a great game and some balls just can drain quick. So I wasn't – with 5 ball, I wasn't worried like, I really got to do something.
Right.
And
now I want to explain here that the yellow you see on the screen, that's from the original commentator crew. So we're using the blue color in case you're wondering what all those lines are. Now, Arvid's building up his bonus here. He's got 10s, jacks, and queens. Something that's different on this game, by the way, versus ours is they colored the lights, all of them.
Right.
So they're like, you could see different colors, whereas ours, they're all the
So
same
here I'm
light.
stepping up, and he already has a big score. And it doesn't really change my strategy because, you still play the game the same way. You just hope that, you just try to focus more if somebody has a big lead and just make sure you don't make mistakes.
Yeah, now here you're going for the queens first, even though it's a jacks, ball, because queens are easy to hit.
Yeah, and I didn't want to shoot it on the fly from the left, and there I was able to just nail the jack.
All right, now this is going to be big. You've already gotten 2 out of the 5 aces, and
So
you're getting hungry. Now here's my question for you. You go up the middle. Is that because you want ABC?
No, I'm just trying to hit it up there and hope it comes to the upper flipper so I can shoot for the aces.
That was a huge opportunity where you might have been able to nudge it in the C. Were you thinking about it?
Probably not because I didn't want to tilt, and it's hard to nudge it. You can. This game is very unpredictable when you nudge. It's hard to just get it to go over to the lane you want.
Right. Now you have your 5x bonus here.
So I figured if I get the queens down there, now they're worth 5,000 each. So I only need 1 more. And so now I'm probably, I'm shooting the queens.
Yeah, so even though you have 5x bonus, you're happy to just take more queens.
Right.
And if you get a shot at something else, aces or whatever, you'll take it. But probably your primary focus is still queens, right?
Right.
Nice save, by the way.
Yeah, I got control of it here.
So here, 1 queen left.
I can't remember do I just shoot the queen?
Yes, you did. And that's the right call, I think.
And there's my ace. I need 1 more ace.
And 1 more king for that bonus as well. It's not something you always go for, and it just, if it bounces in, you're happy. Now they're drawing it right now because they know you want that ace too. You got the 10, which isn't a huge deal. It's only 1,000 times 5.
So I did. That's the second time I did that drop catch. You're just hoping on this game to get it to the flipper and then make the correct decision, either dead flipper bounce or drop catch it. And, that one was lucky to bounce over.
Yeah, now there's a nice bounce into the king. So now you have 4 out of 5 lit. You're only missing the ace for max bonus.
Right.
Max bonus, if you get all 5 drop targets, which you just did, you remember what it is if you get all 5?
Well, it's 15 times 5, so it's 75.
Correct. So at the end of this ball, you're going to get 75K no matter what you do, as long as you don't tilt.
And the commentators on the original stream were saying how that left pop umper was very active, and it got a lot of aces, and then it did get the ace for me.
That's well said, actually. Absolutely. By the way, you have your extra ball lit for what it's worth. right there, but I know you're not. It's just
Right
counting on the
now,
bonus.
when it was lit, I didn't realize it because I was just thinking all the targets were all 5,000, and I ended up hitting 5 targets.
Well, you only lit it because you got the C outlane, by the way.
No, I when I got the aces.
Oh, aces, yeah, that's right. The ace,
right.
you had it. You had extra ball lit from getting aces.
Right, and then I had it trapped on the left, but I ended up getting 5 additional targets worth 5,000 each before I drained. So I don't know what the expected value of the extra ball was. You shoot that target, and you don't necessarily get the extra ball. So I just wanted to. I was just thinking get points, and if I shoot the targets and I'm getting 5,000,
that's good enough.
Yeah.
And that's going to play a lot into the final score of this game, as you well know.
So Neil seemed like he had some unlucky ricochets throughout the 3 games, and that was one of them. And I believe he had played it in the second round. This was the 4th round, and he played it in the second round. Had 358,000, so I know he can play this game.
I'm sure he can.
You know.
By the way, Neil plays out of District 82. What District 82 most common classic game there has 15 drop targets?
I do not know.
All right, fair enough. They play a $5 volley game frequently. Volley has 15 drop targets. 5 greens, 5 blues, 5 yellows.
I see.
You didn't think I'd keep on going with the trivia, right?
Right. So here I was feeling pretty good because I had 200,000, and the other 2 players were on ball 3. There's still a lot of game to be played. It's a little bit harder to get a big score on.
There's the left outlane that I was
ball
talking
4
about.
and 5 because you have to get the kings or the aces.
That left outlane, because it's at that angle, it's hard to get it out of that area, and you just end up at it being at a 50-50 shot right there. Now, he did pretty well. He's at 200K right now, but you have a ball in hand against him. How confident are you walking into this? Queens.
He had a good ball, Arvid, so I'm thinking, I'm still not thinking I'm going to win this game, or, I'm just thinking.
Especially after that move.
Right, and that's common. It happens to a lot of people.
Yeah, let's go over it again. What do you think you could have done different?
Well, it's that situation on these old games where you think you're going to be able to trap it, and the flippers don't go up high enough, so it kind of bounces off and down the middle. On a newer game, you expect if it bounces, it'll make it over to the other flipper. On this one, it kind of just died.
If you hit it away, do you think that would have worked? And not that you could have known to do that. Like as soon as it went there.
It'd be better than letting it drain.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Neil had it on the tip of the flipper there. But
I guess I should have done something different. But
yeah, it's hard to know. It's hard to know when it's not going to be able to catch it, And I think because this game plays fast, in my opinion, faster than the one here locally, it's a lot tougher to catch it because it could bounce high off the flipper.
Right, but I didn't have a problem like on ball 2. You saw I was in control, but it was coming at good angles where I could catch it. So between the balls, I was walking over where the player cam is towards the right, and Faye and Will were over there. I think Mark Pearson might have been over there. Will McKinney, Faye, Ashley.
You had a lot of locals there. Were they rooting for you?
Of course.
And were you talking to them, or were you trying to talk to nobody while this was happening? Like how in your head were you, and versus like how communication with others?
I think after I had the one of the maybe even this ball 3, I actually didn't want to talk to anybody, and then Will came over. Maybe it was ball 2. He said, "Why didn't you shoot the extra ball?" He said something.
Did you appreciate that comment?
Well, or did he asked me something, but after that particular ball, I didn't want to talk to anybody. But I was generally just going over.
Right.
And people don't. When you're in a final, they don't want to.
They don't want to mess you up. They don't want to bother you.
So.
Right now, I tried not to text you. I still texted you about 25 times, I would say. But that's minimum. That was me holding it back,
right.
Actually.
So here it kind of came down the middle fast, and he couldn't. It's difficult to do a slap save on this because the flippers don't grab it the way like a modern stern does.
Right. Now, something they were commenting on, and I sort of agree that I saw their perspective, but I like what you were doing here. Is this is king's ball, and a lot of players don't go for kings on king's ball. And why is that? Would you say? I know you're going to go for that.
Well, because it's dangerous. You're shooting it to the right, and then it could bounce off over to the left. but they're worth.
That was a great save, by the way.
But they're worth 5,000 each, so it's a risk reward. If you get them, you're getting 5,000, and if you happen to be able to get all 5 down, now you're at 5x. So
you're going to do it anyway, even though you know it's hard.
I mean, the other choice is like I'm going to shoot the queens and get them down once, and then I'm going to start shooting them again and get 5,000.
Right.
But I was thinking just pick off the easy kings. I wasn't necessarily trying to get the bottom one.
Right. Also, something worth talking about. Sorry, you go.
I'm trying to get the upper king here, and I was going to just get the upper king because it was worth 5,000, and then maybe go for something else,
right,
and hope that the slingshot gets me the lower king. There, I just missed the king,
right,
and it just bounced off the post.
You got punished for missing. But something we're talking about is this is an active sling, so often the sling can give you the kings, whereas this is just dead. It's just plastic. There's not a sling there. That's rubber, on purpose, by design. All right, so Neil coming up for his king ball, and I think he might be going for kings too. We'll see if that pans out. Now he tries the on-the-fly alley pass. There it is. He's going for kings there too. It was just you two going for kings.
So that's just
It just didn't work out for him.
And he seemed like he had some bad luck throughout the games. It just now you could say, well, you missed your shot or something, but it seemed like he wasn't missing any worse than any other player. But some of those just either came straight down the middle or down the side.
Now, general perspective, do you prefer when you drain? When you drain, do you prefer that you could have made a save on it and it's on you, or do you prefer that the game decided for you, like sling out, if you're going to drain and all balls do? Which do you prefer? Does my question make sense?
No.
Like sometimes you hit a sling out to the out lane, nothing you could have done. Other times you're like, well, if only I had done a drop catch there, and that's on me, or I missed the shot. Like you could learn from that. But do you want to drain on a shot that you could learn from? Maybe not in a tournament, but like in general.
I don't know if I think about it that much.
Fair enough.
So at this point, I felt good about getting second, but I know Arvid was close to me, so
yeah, I know he's about to go higher than you too. So if you notice, this is game ball 5, and Arvid's at 255 right now. He's going to get that ace, which is going to light the extra ball, and the extra ball light turns on, as you can see right there, that pink circle. He's going for it. He wants that, because that is huge for him if he can hit it.
And he shoots
He's
for it.
So close there. I think that would make a huge difference. Now, he does great in this game.
Again.
I thought he had a great shot on it. Now, here's the question. Is he going to transfer it to the left flipper to go for the extra ball or not, or try to bank the ace? He does go for the transfer, the alley pass, because he really wants that extra ball.
Yeah, but it was really hard to hit it off that because it was coming down. He didn't trap it, so it was just a difficult shot.
Right. Now, this is a key moment, as you well know. You're about 18,000 down.
Well, I'm thinking I'm 18,000, and I know the aces are each worth 5,000. I know I'm going to get 5,000 bonus, and the A, B, and C is 5,000. So I wanted to get the A, B, or C. And then,
so if you just plunge it right now, you're 10,000. You have 10,000 points, which would bring you to 275 and only 8,000 left. Fair?
Right. So I was just thinking if I can get over to the up to the aces and get them, that would give me enough.
So you're like,
but sometimes when you're in a game and it's a close score, it's
harder than if it's a farther
more
away.
Stressful than if I needed 50,000. Now I know I need to do a lot more.
Right. Were you feeling the stress here?
A little bit.
I notice you're pulling up the sleeves like you're ready to go.
Well, it turns out I think I flipped it twice, and I may have been able to do a drop catch on one of them or just trap it. But I also knew that I tried to trap it earlier, and I lost it. So that's probably why I flipped.
So here's your 5,000. Right now you're 8,000 points away.
Right. So I flipped it here, and then I think I flipped there because I thought like that could have bounced down if I tried to trap it.
You get another 5,000 for the right out lane, by the way.
Right. But it wasn't enough.
Look at that. 500 points difference.
500.
Did you know when you drained that you didn't make it?
Yeah, because when I hit the switch, it went up to...
Immediately, right?
I think it was at 278, 250, so I knew I needed more than 5,000.
And you're that in tune with the game that as soon as you drained that it wasn't enough. You were able to look up and see the score even in the moment.
Right.
Now, there were a lot of groans in the crowd, audibly for me at least, as watching from home. What was that like in the for you in person?
I don't remember hearing it much.
All right, good.
Because most of the people watching were kind of over in a different area, and unless it was something really loud, you couldn't hear it. I think one time I heard them cheer on one of the games or something, or somebody had a bad, something happened. I think when I was short, when it drained and it was short, I heard like a groan from people.
Yep. And so now Neil here's on his ball 5.
He has pretty good control here.
He does. I was watching him like bounce hard off that the left flipper. But you know what? That's a sling out, and that's the type of drain that you can't really do much about. Now Timber's doing his ritual, which is wiping down the game with the shirt.
So at this point, I walked over to Faye and Will, and I was saying, well, that sucks. And they were trying to console me and saying,
this is what I wanted to hear about, yeah.
Don't worry about it, or don't let it affect you, or I forget exactly what they're saying.
And that's important because, I know, spoiler alert again, you end up winning the finals here, but that must have been crushing for a lot of people. That would have been like demoralizing.
Well, it's 4-2-1-0 scoring. And see, that's the one where he, the slap save, he hit it almost perfectly and it didn't grab it.
Yep.
4-2-1-0 scoring, that extra point for first, you get 4 instead of 2, can be big.
Sure.
And I was thinking I still have a good chance to get second.
Yep.
And anything can happen on these
second
games.
on the turn on the actual
after 3 games.
After 3 games, right? You're still not like well, of course you want to win, but you were like second would be okay.
The 3 previous rounds, and I could see that somebody had won the first game and then they did third or fourth on the second game. So I knew after playing these classics that anything can happen and things can, like if Arvid won every game, then he's going to win. And having that 2 points gives you a great chance to get second place. So,
right. Now the next game we're going to go to is Lady Luck, which is Bally 1986.
And now,
yep.
I don't think the players, looking back at the stream, that none of us really knew how to play it. Maybe they did, but
well, we're in luck today.
Pretty rare
John,
game.
Because I know the rules to Lady Luck.
Okay. Because they said something about you want to plunge it and get all the 5 targets on the same suit, and I don't know what benefit that gives you.
Oh, I'm here to tell you all of the rules of Lady Luck. Are you ready for it? Now, this is a brilliant game because, and I'm going to pause it as soon as it comes on so we could talk through the rules. So I think this is a great game because it's a complex rule set. That's why a lot of people don't know how to play it.
What year is this game from?
This is 1986, Bally. Okay. By the way, your trivia question, John, is there were 2 games at INDISC that had the word luck in them. What was the other one?
Well, Lucky Hand.
Good, Lucky Hand. There were 3 games that were poker-based in classics. Poker is a very common theme for classics. You wouldn't make a new Stern out of it, I guess World Poker Tour. But it's not as popular. You wouldn't have like an LE based on poker now. But back then, you could make a cheap classic game. So 3 poker-based games, Lady Luck, Lucky Hand, and the one we just saw, Joker Poker. Fair enough. Okay. And so there we go. They had 2 tic-tac-toe games, which is kind of weird. That's a weird theme. They
OXO.
OXO and the...
Is that a tic-tac-toe?
I thought it was OXO. And X's and O's.
Right.
I
know the round before, or I think in the first round, Peter Frank had never played X and O's, and he pointed at OXO, and I said, no, we're playing X's and O's, which happened to be right next to it.
Yep. All right, let's talk some rules of this game now. And the rules are important because strategy is very, very different, especially in qualifying where you're playing against hundreds of players and you want the very best score you can against hundreds of players.
So the main way to blow it up is...
So, you want to say it first?
Well, you get the 5 targets down.
So I'm going to draw that. Wait, I'm going to pause it here, and I'm going to draw that for everyone. There's 5 drop targets. They're called Ace, King, Jack, Ace, King, Queen, Jack, and 10 right over here. It doesn't forgetting about we're going to forget about the suits for a moment.
Right.
If you get all 5 on the ball, then what else do you have to do?
You have to hit those 2 stand-up targets that have a star insert in front of them.
Right. And as soon as you hit the 2 star inserts, a countdown goes down. And a countdown starts here, and then it goes here, and then it goes here, and it goes here, and then it goes here. It's only about 6 seconds.
6 seconds.
And if you do that entire thing, you will get a 10x playfield, and that's this 10x right here
Right.
that you're seeing right there. 10x is huge for 6 seconds and only
And
6
what
seconds.
players
just
try to
about.
do if they get that is immediately hit the upper right spinner, which starts, it's at least 2,000 a spin, so then you're getting 20,000 a spin.
Right.
And you can increase the value of it by hitting the captive ball up there.
That's
the
right.
upper left. It'll go to 4,000, 6,000, 8,000, 10,000, but shooting that's
Dangerous.
it's also a very narrow shot, so it's not easy to hit.
Right. Now the
And
thing,
then the other
go.
thing about the star targets is you can hit the 2 star targets, I believe, before you get the drop targets
Correct,
down.
and we'll see that here
So
in the course of the
it's
game.
when you get immediately all the drop targets down and have the 2 stars targets lit that you get the 10x.
That's right. So
But
you
I believe the drop targets don't reset. So after the 10x expires, you can hit those 2 stand-ups again.
Well, here's where it gets complicated, is the drop targets actually do reset only in the circumstance of if you were to hit all 5 down, and then there's some stand-ups behind there that are called the jokers, and that's what these lights are.
I see.
If you were to get all 4 of those jokers after you get all 5 of the drop targets down, then the drop targets reset, which kind of sucks, so that you can't take advantage of the 10x anymore, but it gives you a different advantage. It gets you a 2x playfield for the rest of the ball.
I see.
So, in other words, there's a way,
Right.
the 10x is only for 6 seconds, but the 2x is for the whole ball.
I see.
If you did it again, get then all the 5 drops and the 4 jokers, that would give you a 3x playfield for the rest of the ball. So those are your options for playfield X in this game. Like I said, it gets complicated. There's 2x, there's 3x, and then there's 10x.
Right.
Right there.
So could you have 30x?
No, they are not multiplicative.
Okay.
So the one locks you out of the other. If you were to get, let's say you have 2x or 3x, and you got the 10x going, it's just 10x for 6 seconds. So it's not, they don't multiply. Some other things in this game. Like you said, the right spinner is built by the value of it. It starts 2,000, but it goes to 4, then 6, then 8, then 10 by hitting the captive ball. That only carries on each ball. It doesn't carry from ball to ball. But the other thing is the left orbit. And don't sleep on the left orbit, because this does carry over ball to ball.
Yes.
So the first shot is 10,000, then 20,000, then 30,000, then 40, then 50, then 60, then 70,000. And so some people, if they get to 10x, if you hit that one orbit, it gets you 400, then 500,000, then 600,000, so forth, and it carries over ball to ball.
Similar
as I said.
to
That was going to be my next question. Is there's lots of games out there, especially this era in the 80s, where hitting a left orbit, doesn't have to be left orbit, but it happens to be in quite a few games, like on 8-Ball Deluxe, builds up the value and it can carry over. That's also a setting, I believe, on the game, but that's the default setting. And, even then, like I said, this game is complicated. We're still not done. I want to talk about the top lanes and the bottom lanes. So there's 5 lanes that spell the word poker, and you can move them all together. So in other words, it doesn't move independently like a lot of modern games where top lanes versus bottom lanes.
You can only shift them left to right.
Right, that's important too. And we're going to see that play out. If you get all 5... Do you know what you get for that?
A 2x bonus?
Correct. That's your 2x bonus, and that carries over ball to ball.
Okay.
So it is important to get that on ball 1.
Right.
The next one 3x, and the next one 4x, and the next one 5x. And you're going to see that from Timber along the way and how much that matters.
And
you're going to see me critique you
on
not moving your lanes. So let's talk about the bonus. The bonus is gotten by getting all of these drops down. These cards, sorry, I should say. And so here's where
5,000 each?
5,000 each. That's exactly right. And so each one you get can be multiplied by having that bonus X. And so it can be a bonus X heavy game, especially when you look at the scores we're about to see. And the thing I would say is that in qualifying, where you're trying to put up millions, the answer is 10x. The answer is get your 10x playfield, which is to say get all 5 drops down, the 2 stars, you're in 10x for 6 seconds, and then hit either left orbit or right spinner, and Bob's your uncle, and there's a lot of points, right? But in a 4-player game like this, even though these are some of the best players in the world, obviously, I don't think that's the right strategy, and we'll see that playing out here, because it's really hard to achieve that. Fair?
Yes. And there's always one of those rows blinking of the suits.
Yep.
And whichever's blinking when you hit one of those 5 drop targets, it gives you one. It makes one of those solid and gives you bonus. Now, I don't know what happens if you get all 5 of the same suit.
Okay, here's what I could say now. So all it does, what the goal is, when you plunge it, as soon as it goes through a lane, it stops on the suit because the suit's actually roving, between them. Along the course of the game, there are certain targets for specifically that move the suits. So specifically, this target will move the suit down one, and this target will move the suit down one. Also, in lanes will move the suit. Those are the four things that move your suit. And you don't really want to move your suit until you complete the lane. The main reason that is just that you won't get your new cards. So you won't, because the suit moves and drops are already hit down, you can't get bonus from them.
Okay.
And so that's what I would say is the key.
Okay.
And all these cards are carrying over from ball to ball. So if you want your 5x5, 25, and then 100,000 bonus like that, then you need to be cognizant of not moving the suit whenever possible.
Right.
I'm going to say one more rule that nobody took advantage of during the game, which is there's a right out lane gate right here, and you could open that to save the ball. Now, all three of your balls, spoiler alert, were left out lane, for what it's worth. But right out lane is a common drain in this game, and so the way to get the right out lane open, do you happen to know?
No.
Okay, there are three targets that are the number 2. Here's one, and then the hidden one is up here.
Right.
Nobody's going for that on purpose. However, what I would suggest is the right lane to the correct skill shot, in my opinion, is this one. Because what often happens, and I'm sure we're going to see this play out, when you hit down that lane, it hits the pop bumper and goes into the 2 quite often.
Okay.
And so it's not something to go for, if you don't have it. But if I notice I have that, and then in the course of random play, you notice that you also knock down that one, then you might consider actually just one shot left for your open gate. Is that fair?
Yes.
All right. So those are all the rules. There are no more rules. I can give you a little bit more rules, but I'm not going to until it comes up. Those are almost all the rules. I'll mention one more while the game goes on. And then I should also say what your scores were. Like, you played this in qualifying 2 times. And do you remember what you scored? It was in 300,000s and 400,000s on a different game. That's
it was somewhere around that. And that was like the 100th. I got 423,000. That was the 74th best score.
Right.
And then I played it in my last 2 qualifying ones. I only got 40,001. And then my qualifying card, I had 350,000. That was the 95th best. It was actually lowest on my card of the 4 games I played.
Yep.
So changing these lanes is not as easy as you think.
It looks easy at home, but it's not.
I don't know if there's like a delay or
By
something.
the way, he got
that. But the ball is bouncing around, and they only go in one direction, so you don't want to switch it, you don't want to switch it too soon, and then not be on the one.
Now,
So
I'm glad you said that, because I am going to critique your lane changing at some point, as you well know.
So he didn't switch it there.
By the way, he got that 2 that I was talking about. You could see it solid, the one that but you don't think about.
So his strategy from the beginning was just shoot from the bottom, from the left, shoot the spinner, and from the right, shoot the left orbit.
Correct.
Which turned out to be probably the correct strategy.
Correct. I was going to say that too. And another thing I want to point out, he just hit the captive ball. And because he did, you saw this light go to that light. And so now the spinner is worth 4,000 per spin.
Right.
If you were to get it at 10x, it would be 40,000 per spin, which is nothing to sneeze at. So right now, for the rest of this ball, that spinner is going to be worth 4,000 per spin, and we're going to want to pay attention to that while he's playing. He knows that, I'm sure, and is going for the right spinner now. He also has only one more drop target left on the 10 drop target in order to set up his potential for 10x scoring.
Right.
All right, so he gets the left orbit. And notice his value is advancing on the left orbit. It's now 20,000, I believe. Yep, or 30. He's already up to 30,000 on that. Sorry, you're going to say, John?
Well, these flippers, you could...
He's also a monster lane changer, by the way. Look at his lane changing. I want to point out, look at that.
Right.
He is already at 3x bonus right now. Because he's done it.
So these flippers were, you could control the ball very well with them. You could drop catch. You could just sometimes just hold it up and it would trap it, or do a live catch like that. Like the live catch worked very well. I think you could probably do an alley pass pretty easy, or maybe even a tap pass. But
you didn't try that.
It just seemed like, unless it came straight down the middle, even if it was close to the middle, you could still dig it out.
Now he is 2 targets away from 10x. He has one 10 drop target, and then 1 star.
And that one, it just came too fast for him to.
That's right.
Hit. So I was player 2 in all the games because I was the lowest seed Arvid picked the game, so he had the last choice. And then the second highest, which was Timber, he chose to go first in this game. Even though he had the first choice, he could have chose to go last. For some reason, he chose to go first.
And that's this game in particular, because there's so many different strategies, one that gets you millions of points and one that gets you hundreds of thousands of points. It seems to me a game that's especially good to be last on because you get to know what strategy to do. Like here, you're going for the drops. It builds up bonus. You've already changed a suit, if you notice, because you hit they're drawing on the screen, but you've hit this, and that changed the suit, and that's why you moved. So the real negative of changing the suit is, as you could see, that you can't get the ones you've already gotten down. But I see you're still going. That's your left. That you couldn't do anything about.
Yeah,
you missed the shot, but that's true.
And that was tricky from the right flipper. The flippers went up pretty high, so it was. You had to adjust a little bit to the flippers, and you're always thinking, do I want to hit the target directly? Is it going to ricochet in a weird direction?
Right.
And I just missed it completely.
Yeah, and I see Neil is taking a lot of advantage of moving his lanes, correct?
So I was not too happy with that ball, but I think I played this before at the Pinball at the Lab tournament, and so I was a little bit familiar with it.
So Neil's gotten one of the stars already, and the other star will start the countdown, but it will not give you 10x until he gets the drops down. So Neil knows that, and he's going for the drops. If you notice on ball one...
And then that's what happens.
Timber was going orbits, and Spinner in orbit there. You're going drops, Neil's going drops, and Arvid is like a go big or go home kind of player, too, and he's going to go drops, too. And credit to Timber for going first and setting like a moderate pace of not trying to be crazy with it.
Right. So now Arvid's coming up, and
you can see the roving suits right now. You see it's going to spades, and now it's going to go to hearts, and that
Which I didn't even
stops
notice
once
at
the
the
lane
time.
goes through. No suit in particular matters more than others. It's just that you want on ball two, when we're going to pay attention to this, you do want to time it so that it goes down the top lanes when it's on a completely new suit, so that you have the opportunity to build up 5 cards of bonus. Is that fair?
Yes.
Now look at Arvid's lane changing, by the way. That's a mess, and he got that 2 target.
He missed it once on a later ball.
That is true. You've already watched this, I bet. Yes.
And at this point, I see Timber has a good score, but he got third on the first game, so I'm not so unhappy if he wins. I'm more
That's a nice tap
about
pass, by the way.
Arvid.
Yep.
And so even though I didn't have a very good score, I'm still not. The whole time in this finals, I'm thinking. I could have a bad game and not advance or not win.
Right.
So,
by the way, I want to point out the situation that I mentioned before, that Arvid has this 2, that 2, and just one more, and he'll have his right out lane gate. Meanwhile, though, Arvid has built up to 4,000 per spin by hitting the captive ball, and so he's going to go presumably for Spinner here, or more captive ball to build it up even more to 6,000. And probably that is I don't know if that was a left orbit or a captive ball shot or not. Look at that top lane movement.
So I don't think I was really watching him play, but I was aware of his score.
All right, I want to point out, too, that Arvid has now hit both stars. Not on purpose necessarily, but he's hit both stars. And because of that, the countdown has started here. He's not a 10x, but it still starts the countdown. So do you want to see? Does that make sense?
Yeah, just keep it going.
All right. Fair enough. I will clear it out. But I want to point out one other thing about hitting 2. This is the extra rule. You ready for a new rule that I didn't even mention with all the million rules? All right. When you get the 2 stars, a new thing happens where 2 arrows are lit at a time, and so any drop you get, you could build up twice the bonus.
Okay.
So as soon as there is a value of hitting 2 stars on its own without the 10x, because it gives you 2 lit rows at a time. Fair?
Yes.
All right, back to the game. Didn't think I was going to pause it so much, right?
So this timer's going, and then the star inserts are going to start blinking.
Correct, and now it's done. And now you see that his arrows his double arrows on the suits went away.
I see.
That's high-level Lady Luck
So
stuff.
you can see how strong the flippers are, and if you miss,
By the way,
it's just out of control.
That's why I mentioned that thing about the right out lane.
Right.
Because right out lane is common to me. I know you had 3 left out lanes, but right out lane is common on this game, and it's not something to sneeze at. If you get 2 out of 3, it's good to just situational awareness, maybe get that gate open. All right, so Timber definitely moving his lanes. He's already at 4x bonus, as we can see. I'll point it out over here.
See, now after the game, I wish I had done this strategy because I didn't really know the rules to this game very well.
Right. And notice he's at 50,000 for every orbit, left orbit, I should say. So you could see that here. This is circle 1, circle 2, circle 3, circle 4, circle 5.
See how easy that was to trap?
Yeah,
it just rolled down the slingshot and he got it. And when he's missing, he's getting some good feeds.
And what I would say is, once the left orbit's at 50,000, that's better than the spinner. At 2,000 per spin every ball. Look at that. Now it's at 60,000. And so look at the scores right now. Every shot is going to be 60 and about to be 70,000.
So what's his bonus at? Even though he's at 5x.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Well, we can just see
You're right
here.
So he has 5. So
that's 25,000.
Correct. He's at 5. Yeah, he's at 5,000 times
so
5x bonus.
30,000.
Exactly. And so, bonus, it's not the biggest part of this game, but it's also something to be aware of.
Well, the thing is, if you're just going up to the top every shot, you may not be accumulating bonus. So at some point, after you're at 5x, you might want to try to get some bonus.
Yep.
Now that pop bumper reminded me of the geometry on Black Pyramid. And I was thinking when it bounces off of that little triangular-shaped area above the drop targets.
Yep. And by that I mean I'll draw it for you here, this thing.
Black Pyramid, it bounces off either to the right or left and then off the side. And I was thinking I should try to nudge it when it comes out of there. So the geometry wasn't exactly the same as Black Pyramid. It kind of just came right to the flipper like that, so you could just catch it.
Yeah, and so that spinner shot for Timber was like, if you look at it right now, he started at 815, and so that's about 35, and then he hit a bunch of other stuff. Versus the left orbit right now for him is at 60K and about to be 70. So that's why I say that's worth it. And now he's got his timer going down because he got the stars.
I see.
And he's not a 10x. Now he is.
And then
you saw the 10x there. And the reason he just got it was he got his 5 drops. Ideally, you want the 5 drops and then the 2 stars.
I thought it was about 10 seconds, that timer, because it seemed...
Overruled.
That seemed like it was taking more than 6 seconds.
6 pinball seconds.
So at this point, I see that he has a huge score, and
Here's what I like.
I'm not thinking... I was still thinking at this point, get those targets down, because I thought that's the way you play this game. But I wasn't really watching what he was doing, so maybe I should have...
Right. I want to point out 2 things about the plunge now on ball 2 that you have to think about. And that's what makes this a complex game. So one is the lanes, right? If you notice, you have this circle and this circle and this circle lit, and you're, I guess, 4 actually. 4 are still lit, and you want to go through the lit ones, by the way. And so ideally, right now, you want to move your lanes so that all 3 are lit before you even plunge at the top.
But I have a lot of other things on my mind.
I know.
That I'm trying to think or try to remember what I want to do.
But are we here to talk top strategy, or are we here to talk top strategy?
Right. But I'm here to tell you what I was thinking at the time.
Right. And you were not thinking that.
Right.
But you do it anyway, by the way. I was going to compliment you.
Okay.
You didn't see that coming. that you do move the lanes. And even that little bit, so that's 2 things I want to talk about the plunge. Number 1, be cognizant of your top lanes because, don't have one unlit. You don't want to go down an unlit lane, right, in this game. Because, again, that's 2x, 3x, 4x, 5x bonus, right? The other thing that you probably weren't thinking about in this game is the roving suit. So you don't want when you plunge, you want to time the plunge. After you move the lanes, then you want to time the plunge so that when it comes down an in lane, the arrow is not over here because you've already gotten those drops. That's the point. And you cannot build, even if you hit those drops down, that won't give you any more bonus.
Exactly.
And so, with that said, I want to show this here. Now, first, you're going to move your lanes in a way that's awesome. 1 second, let me hit the play for you. Now, this might just be your moving the flippers around, getting a feel for it, you're saying, not necessarily the high strategy. There it is. See what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
it's 2, but but maybe, yeah, there it is. That's what, see, it felt like you did it on purpose.
Right. But in my mind, I'm also going over what I want to do. If
That's
it
the
comes
skill
out,
shot, by the way.
depending on the feed, how am I going to nudge it? Am I going to try to trap it? That
was a great move, by the way. And we should mention there's 2 dangers on this game. It's not like the last game, Joker Poker, where you could just drain out right away.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that because I had a tiebreaker against Luke Horniak in the first round, and he picked this game, and he had 3 of the top 10 qualifying scores on it.
Wow.
And so I was thinking, well, this is over. I'm going to go.
You defeated a lot of great players to make it this way, by the way.
I'm going to go play my open cards after this. And he, on ball 3, was behind, and he just completely moved the game. You thought that he would like slam tilt, and he didn't tilt. And then he went to the outlane again after he missed, and he did the same thing. Mm-hmm. And then I forget how he missed, if it was coming down the middle. He did it a third time and he tilted. And then afterwards he said, there's two dangers.
Yep.
And I said...
And they make a sound. You could really hear them.
Yeah, they're right there. Neil just got one. And there must be a very large debounce because he really shoved it for a long time to save the ball.
Yep.
He really shimmied it a lot, Luke, when I played him in the tiebreaker. And he ended up tilting on ball 3, and I was able to advance. So,
yeah. Now Arvid coming up here, and again, ideally, he only has 1 lane right now that's lit, and because he's got on the other 4, and so just want to be cognizant of that when you're plunging. He's moving around. Now here, I would put the lane right here, so that you can move it, because as you know, it only goes left to right.
Right.
Because what happens if it comes to the middle? He has to move it up a whole bunch of times.
Right.
See how and he didn't get it.
Well, it's also one of these games where you're not sure. You lose track of, do I want to go through the unlit lane or the lit lane?
Correct.
And you'd think, well, top-level players should know that. But even I forget, if you're unfamiliar with the game.
Suddenly you're a top-level player now.
No, I'm saying Arvid may not have played this game a lot. And, you forget when you step up, do I want to get the lit lane or the unlit lane?
Yeah, back then in the 80s, there was a lot of going through the lit lane, and then over time it became going through the unlit lane.
So at this point, I see that Timber has a very good score, and I guess I'm aware that I'm, very good chance of getting 3rd or 4th, and so I end up switching my strategy. Instead of going for those drop targets, I saw that he kept just shooting. I think I walked over, and you could see on the big screen they were displaying the stream.
And by the way, he's on the bad suit for him.
And so I was thinking,
because he already has.
I just want to get 3rd place, or 2nd place. So when I step up to my ball 3, I end up.
You change your strategy,
right?
And I think this is a pivotal moment in the series, and when you come up for your ball 3. Because you decide to change your strategy, as you said.
So that was kind of an unfortunate
Ball 1 and ball 2, you've been going for drops. But you notice that players 2, 3, and 4 are all roughly the same score.
Right. Well, Arvid has 200,000. So when I stepped up here, I was just thinking...
You're scrounging for 1 point, maybe.
I was thinking maybe the spinner could give you 100,000. I don't think it gave you that
False.
much, maybe 500. But at the time, I was thinking
maybe,
that's the safest shot because for Timber it was working. If you get it up to the top...
By the way, you moved your lanes in a good way. Well, look at all 3 on top.
When it comes out of those top lanes, it normally comes to the flipper. Mm-hmm. So I was thinking if you can hit those orbit shots, it's a repeatable shot. And hitting those drop targets was not working for me.
Now, I like this, but look, here's where I want to yell at you about your lanes. It's going to come up soon, after this, that you had opportunities here.
Right.
To get... You're going to see over the course of the ball that you're going to have opportunities.
That was just a weird flip.
Weird bounce. Good decision there. I think it was going to go off the tip of the flipper if you didn't.
Well, I might have been able to tip it over. And I do think I get 2 dangers on this. So
you use them. Look at this. Look at the sadness. That's the sadness I'm talking about. I want top lanes there, especially with how close players 2 and 3.
So there I got a
danger right there. Yep.
And now I'm letting the tilt bobs settle. I think they have earplugs in most of the tilt bobs. I'm thinking just shoot the spinner. I think I missed. And saved it.
Yep, that's a great save, by the way.
Lucky it went in there.
But you knew it was going there.
Spinner. So
yeah,
there
great clean spinner hit. By the way, look at your points. Not that huge going up.
Not that huge, but I'm trying to just get separation from Neil, which is player 3, and just get some points.
Right. And I want to point out you have 6 drops, 6 bonus cards right now, and so that's 30,000. And the fact that you got that lane change gave you another 30,000. They're drawing it for you.
So
in fact.
I was fortunate I was able to hit that spinner.
Let's see.
I dialed it in.
Yes, you did. Good decision. Good reach there. On the fly, and you have to. Now we're at 4,000. But you have
4,000, and it went out. And I think I was at 2 dangers, so I just didn't even try.
Yeah, but I was going to talk about that with you. What could you have done when it goes to the top of the sling? I think this is good for a lot of players. My opinion, you want to say it or no?
I could have nudged, but I was on 2 dangers. Right. I didn't want to tilt.
But what kind of nudge would you have given?
I don't know. Up
well,
nudge.
I think that's what I was looking for, right. I think it went to the top of the sling, so you could have done an up nudge. Now, you're right. If it's going down the center and you have to shove left and right, you're going to tilt if you do that, all right?
But I gave it a very slight nudge when I got the second danger on that ball. I knew that the tilt was actually pretty tight, so at that point I wasn't going to even try it. Because
you weren't going to try it. Okay. Look,
because
you won.
Faye had reminded me after ball 2, why didn't you try to save that ball going out?
She did. Right?
And
I was
so
thinking the
in
same
my
thing.
mind, going into ball 3, I'm like, I need to use my 2 dangers. And I did get the 2 dangers, but at that point, I knew that I at least had a lead with my bonus over Arvid. So I didn't want to give up that bonus.
Yep. And now Neil is coming close to you here. I mean, you're at 300. He's at 163. And you can see why these left orbits matter now.
Right.
Now, Neil is going for everything. He saves it, by the way, and still has the ball because that's just unfortunate. An amazing save, by the way.
And it's weird that when you tilt, the gate opens. So the ball wasn't going to come in.
Right. People thought, oh, no, maybe the gate opened. He could have played more. No, it's just a tilting opens the gate.
So looking back, I was actually, this ball for Arvid, I was very lucky because he had a house ball.
The difference is if he would have come over you, I'm not saying taking over Timber, right? But then you would have been going into the next game 6-3 point. He would have been at 6, and you would have been at 3 instead of 5-4.
Right.
And that would have changed the whole game of Harlem, where you could have either been in a tiebreaker with him, or obviously you won the game. But even if you were at 3 points and won the game, that's why I think this was pivotal. Your decision to switch,
just to get points and not go for first, just to. I didn't think it's so hard to get that decision. 10x on that game.
That's what I'm saying. You just don't do it in match play. It's just not a good idea. It's the strategy for qualifying.
It just went over to that outlane so fast that he couldn't react in time.
Right, but I love that he still went for it. He does. We call it. Some people call it the Arvid shimmy after him now.
Okay.
Everyone deserves to have their own pinball move named for them.
Right.
And he's just one of the best in the business at that particular move.
So at this point, Arvid had 5, Timber had 5, I had 4, and Neil had 0.
Now, are you already counting your $2,200 in your mind?
No, I was
for third place.
Remembering I played Harlem Globetrotters once in qualifying, and I think I
wrote it down for you too. Yeah, so you did play Harlem before, and you did not crush it. In fact, you got 42,000 and 36,000. I'll do it for you, John.
Yes.
Now, if you don't know Harlem, those scores are not very good. Is that fair to say, John?
Yes, but I saw Keith Elwin in qualifying, and he did the thing where
good player.
Hit the drop target, and sometimes it just comes straight down the middle for you.
Right.
And I've played different Harlem Globetrotters.
You played a lot of Harlem Globetrotters. There was at Tilt Studios for a while, long ago.
Yeah, and it's at Starfighters now.
Yep.
And
great arcade local Starfighters. We love Starfighters. We love Tilt, and we especially love Electric Bat.
Right.
Is that fair to say?
Yes. And
I'm going to give another shout out here. By the way, tonight Electric Bat had a new record of League Night. They had 128 players, and this is already, in my opinion, as far as I know, the largest single venue League Night in the whole world. Not the state, not the country, but the whole world. Could you believe that?
So on this game, I'm thinking, you have to have a little bit of luck and not, you can hit your shot, hit those drop targets on the right, and it could just come down the middle for you. Right. If you miss a shot, it can bounce to one of the out lanes. But I was thinking, Neil had 0. I had a good chance to get third, second, first. And I wasn't really thinking about how I'm finishing. I was just trying to focus on the second in front of me. The way the ball's coming, what am I going to do? I wasn't thinking, if I win this game, this is going to happen or whatever.
Now, before we get into that, and we're going to get into that, John, because obviously you win this game and it's amazing. But before we get into that, we got to do trivia. So this is a Bally 1978 game. First of all, it's important to stress if it's from the 70s. Back in the 70s, one tilt and you're out. So there's no dangers on this one, as opposed to the last game, Lady Luck, where more dangers could be taken advantage of at that point as an 80s game. But you are a basketball fan. Is that fair to say?
A little bit, sure.
Okay, I'm
played a lot of basketball.
A few questions for you. Which famous basketball player was on both the Harlem Globetrotters and in the NBA?
But he wasn't on this game.
He wasn't on. No, that's true. You're right. He wasn't on this particular
Wilt Chamberlain.
game. That's exactly right. I knew you would get that. All right, and now, of course, the next question is, name all other basketball pinball machines.
Well,
one of which you own.
Shack Attack.
Yeah, Shack Attack.
NBA Fast Break.
And by the way, Kale, a local proprietor and production crew for Electric Bat and for this stream, is right next to me. Kale, you could yell it, and I'll tell the crowd if you get it. So you said Shack Attack,
NBA Fast Break,
NBA Fast Break, great
and
90s
William Stern
Valley
NBA.
ones. Stern, yeah, that's a one that a lot of people don't know. There are only like 250 of those made. Have you ever played one?
I think so. At Pinburg, they had it.
Interesting. All right, yeah, Stern NBA, that was one.
And I don't know any other ones off the top of my head.
And that's why I said Kale, who's off camera here, but he could yell them out if he knows it. Space Jam, that's right. Space Jam is another one.
Okay.
Now there's a street level Gottlieb game. That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
Kale got
Hoops.
it too. Hoops.
I should know
Hoops.
that one.
Yeah, of course you
they
should
have
know
it out
that
there.
one. But I believe that is all.
I think it was in the Women's Bank.
Right. All right, I'll give you one last one. There's a bunch of Harlem Globetrotters on the back glass here. Which one of them is Curly? That's what their name is, Curly.
Probably the one with no hair. Right?
Correct. That's right. The one with no hair. We like to say follicularly challenged, right, John, you and I?
Yeah.
Now, when you win later on, they point out that you were the, let's call it, older player. We'll talk about that, and the rest of these guys are obviously younger player. But I think they should have pointed out that you're the baldest player there as well, too. And I could say that as one of a fellow balders. All right. That's what I have to say. All right. So, back to this game. Let's talk some rules now. Now, this game is a bit simpler to talk about. You want to say what the main strategy is? There's really only one main strategy in this game.
Well, you want to hit the inline drop targets on the upper right.
Mm-hmm. What happens when you hit those inline drop targets? We're going to point it out here.
The second one gives you 2x bonus, third one 3x, fourth one 5x. They
Correct.
each spot you a letter in globe. That might be a setting. Spelling globe gives you 50,000. You also get globe letters in the upper saucer. Those drop targets on the right also increase the value of the spinner on the left. I think it's the last two are 1,000 and 2,000.
It's 100, 200, 1,000, 2,000. So getting it past that third drop target, at least, which gets you to 1,000 a spin, is already pretty big.
Right.
And it's a huge leap. So you wouldn't even hit the spinner until, in my opinion, unless you're getting to the.
Right.
I mean, sometimes you have to, but.
And they had that on the middle of the back box. It said the super bonus is off, but it was crossed out.
Correct. That was
so
key here.
If you get to 20,000 bonus on one ball, it'll carry over to the next ball. So you start the next ball with 20,000.
Right. And I want to point out that you had that going.
Right.
After this ball. Because if you get 20,000 carried over, so again, it's so many things build bonus in this game, saucers and drops and in lanes, etc. A lot builds bonus. Even the spinners that nobody ever goes for, and I'm not saying you should in the center, but that will build bonus. Still don't go for it, but if you happen to hit it, you might notice it builds bonus.
Now, you usually want to, most people will try to tap pass from the right to the left.
Right.
And then try to shoot those drop targets on the right. That's the strategy most people do.
I was going to say, a lot of these classic games require a very particular skill, and this game, I would say, is a tap passer's game.
So before this game, Will McKinney said, we were talking about tap passing. Somebody said, maybe it was Faye, that you could tap pass pretty easily. Will said, you can actually post-transfer very easily. And you'll see on my first ball, I tried to do it.
Right, and they judged you for it.
And they said, I guess he's not comfortable.
Right.
And I kind of seemed like it wasn't going to bounce over easily trying to do a post transfer. So then I just went back to the tap pass. And I actually only did one tap pass the whole game. It was that first one, and it was actually, I would say it was really good because it didn't hit the tip of the upper left flipper. So
here, I'll put a drawing on so you can draw it. Yep.
When you tap it over, you want to get it right there. And you watch some of the other players tap it over, and it hits the tip of this upper flipper.
And can bounce off badly.
And then bounces down the lower flipper a little bit faster than you like, and it's difficult to get a shot.
Yep.
My tap pass went over there just perfectly, and if I had to do it 10 times, I probably wouldn't have done it. But it just turned out that one particular tap pass landed perfectly on the flipper, and I was able to hit it.
Right. Now, I'll admit I was worried for you in this game, and I'll tell you why. Sorry, you were going to say. You go
well,
first.
I wanted to say some other things, because Will said he found that hitting the drop targets from the upper flipper gave a great feed back instead of coming down the middle.
Yep.
So I had that in mind.
What he's saying is hit these, and you don't want it to go down the middle.
Right.
You want it to go to the left flipper or the right flipper.
I said, well, it's hard to get it to the upper left flipper to him. And he said, but if it happens to come to the upper left flipper,
he would shoot it from
the upper left flipper instead of letting it roll down to the lower left flipper.
Right, and that's a question, too. Most people...
And they were talking about that on the
stream,
mm-hmm. and they mentioned that Keith Elwin had told Jeff Teolis that he shoots from the lower flipper unless he's trying to hit the saucer. Mm-hmm. So after you have all 4 of those targets down, there's a saucer that will collect your bonus. I think it's not multiplied by your multiplier, but it's...
Right, so you can get like 40 plus 49.
Right.
The game goes up to, I believe, 49K bonus. What's the max bonus you can get on this game, John? Max total.
49,000 times 5.
Yeah, but I'm just testing you in the middle of the stream to show everyone how good at math you are.
245,000.
I knew you would get it right. Absolutely. So 245 bonus at the end of the ball is no joke, and you build up close to that, as the game progresses. But I'll tell you why. Can I tell you why I was worried for you on this game? I know you to be an excellent tap passer. You're like one of the best in the business. But I know these 3 players to be a rolling tap passer, where it can go. And what I mean there is when it goes down the in lane on the fly, they could roll and do a rolling tap pass there.
Right.
And I literally have never seen you do that. Is that fair? Is that a quick way to say?
I do it, but you'll see I never had the opportunity to do it here.
Yeah, that's fair. And we'll never know. We'll never know if you would have done it on stream.
We'll see. And these are all great players. And if we played it again, I'd probably lose the game to them.
Especially because your other 2 qualifying games were like 40K in this.
Right. Well, the thing is, if it comes down this in lane at a certain speed, if it's coming fast enough, you can do a ski jump. Just hold the flipper up, and it'll bounce. It'll just slide over here perfectly. If it's going too slow, you can't do that. It'll roll up the flipper and won't make it over to the left flipper. Mm-hmm. So at that point, you'd have to try to do a tip pass and flutter it over. The other choice is to do a rolling tap pass. If you do a rolling tap pass, and if it's going too fast, it's going to hit the tip of this upper flipper, and then you're not going to get a clear shot on that either.
All right.
Having said that, I avoided it coming in that in lane at a speed where it was hard to handle. And if it did, I probably shot the spinner. But we'll see as we play this out.
Right, and one more setting to mention here, and you did already mention it, but a lot of Harlems will just rove. This arrow will rove, so it's very hard to spell all 5 letters in the word globe, and here's globe over here. But this one, as you mentioned, is sequential. So every time you get in the saucer, it does it for you. It lights the G. Then the next time you get in the saucer, it lights the L, and then the O, and the B, and the E. And if you spell globe, as you mentioned, you get 50K points, which is nothing to sneeze at.
And anytime
you can also advance it through the drops.
Anytime you get in that saucer, I think it gives you 3,000 bonus.
That's right.
And spelling globe can give you an extra ball, which would give you points, or a special, which would give you 50,000, I think. And the extra ball might be 25. So you'll get different amounts of points.
All right. One more thing is I don't notice that many players
intentionally
hitting this. But if you hit that, it also opens the right gate for you.
Right, and that can give you an extra ball or points.
Yep.
I think.
Yep.
I forget what it is.
Well, if because you're asking me here, I think is if you hit all of these stand-ups, that lights the extra ball, which isn't relevant to this particular game because extra balls are off.
And I actually hit it, and you'll see on my first ball, there was one time, and from practicing with you and Faye here at the bat, where the ball was on the right over here.
And you hit the side of the cabinet.
Well, I don't know if I hit it or if I just kind of nudged it. I don't know if well, we can see, but I got it to come over the slingshot, and then the way it was coming, I didn't want to
see if you could catch it or not.
It wasn't a conscious decision to say if I try to live catch it, it's going to be in trouble. It was just from experience. I knew I'm just going to shoot it on the fly because it's coming to the flipper in a nice controlled manner, and it worked out. I hit the spinner. But that's something we can look at when we get to mine.
All right. Should we watch the game?
Sure.
All right. But, of course, John, as we watch the game, where is the original Harlem?
New York.
Not
the one in Europe.
No, the one in Harlem. Yes, and the question is, while we're waiting, while he's starting up, the question is, and you can yell it out too, Cale, is Harlem is in New York, and that's of course where the Harlem Globetrotters are named for. But Harlem, New York, is named after what place in Europe?
The Netherlands, or
yes, nailed it.
Because Bob Matthews has a picture of it.
And the Dutch are big in pinball too. That's why I thought I would bring that question out. We like the Dutch.
It's not spelled the same.
Dutch pinball.
There's two A's, I think.
Yes, the Harlem in the Netherlands has two A's in a row, as they tend to do over there for whatever reason.
So Timber
Peter Stuyvesant
has
by the way,
what I
named
think
in
is
the 1600s.
When I walked up, I'm
Right.
player 2. So after his ball, I'm just before we get there, I thought he had a very good ball. So I was not thinking. I was just thinking on my ball 1, I just want to try to stay close to him, and I didn't know how player 3 and 4 were going to do.
Dead bounce.
So you see how...
Look at the rolling tap pass right here. No, it wasn't. That was a meaningless spinner hit.
That's a little surprising that he shot that, but he didn't think he could. So here,
rolling tap pass. There it is. That's what and he got the gate open. That's the move. I see only top players in the world do that move.
But you see how when it hit the tip of that upper flipper like that,
just like what you said right there.
Right,
yeah.
And now there he was able to hit
rolling.
But see how it's bouncing, and he's doing a good enough job to hit.
Sick, right? Those are some sick skills, to be honest with you. And then he goes for the spinner. Even though he actually didn't get all the drops right now, he got almost all the drops, 3 out of 4. That's $50K for the globe, and it's $1,000 per spin on the left spinner right now.
Right. He's at 5. He's at 3x, right?
Yeah, he should be right
so
now
3 times 10.
at 3x. And if you notice, for what it's worth, the lights are here 2x, 3x, and 5x after you hit the final 4th drop.
Right.
But he did not get the super bonus, so it will not carry over. In other words, he didn't reach 20K in bonus, as you are about to on this ball,
right.
John.
So actually, in 13 flips of the ball,
yep.
I probably had enough points to win the game.
Correct.
So, there was some luck involved because I took some shots during this ball.
A little bit risky.
And they just came to the flipper. So I was practicing my tap pass there. I was able to plunge into the saucer.
You couldn't catch it there. Now here they're going to try to do the post pass, and they're going to judge you for it.
Right, and then I gave up on it,
which I don't mind. I'm not saying no shade to the commentators who are great.
It went over there nicely. It was
look,
nice.
You hit it on the fly right there. So dangerous.
Well, I don't think it's the alternatives are more dangerous. That's what I was going to say. So
there it is. That's what I was saying. You hit it off
right.
the side of the cabinet, just like we were talking about before. Upper flipper choice right there.
Well, because it bounced
right into the saucer.
And my other choice was to. Now, if you want to pause it right there,
I do want to pause it right there. All right, hold on. All right, where are we?
So when we were at that upper flipper, it bounced, and if I let it roll down to the lower flipper, I thought I wasn't going to get a better shot. So I just shot it when it bounced.
A lot of these drops you made on the fly. In the moment, you had to decide to hit it. You didn't have control.
Now, the question of hitting it on the fly after I hit the first and second drop target was my other choice was let it bounce over to the right, and then I have to either control it or do a rolling tap pass or get control of it and do a tap pass back over. So I have to hope that the bounce over is good and then the tap pass is good. And so the other choice is just hit it on the fly.
Yep.
And if it's coming slow enough or you feel like you have a good enough read on it, it may be less risky than trying to let it bounce over and then tap it back over.
Yeah, and
that involves some extra steps.
And I don't think you're like a power of the positive thinking kind of guy. You're just you're too rational for that. But it's just a choice that you think is probabilistically better.
I played this before, and it's very similar to Paragon, except reversed.
Yeah, 2 flippers on the left.
So I'm used to just hitting that shot on the fly from practicing Paragon when they had it here at the bat.
Yeah, electric bat, great arcade.
Right.
I want to say one other thing about the electric bat. By the way, we had a guy tonight here out of Portland, Oregon, and you know what? He's running his arcade there, and I'm gonna give him a shout out. Nathan from Lentz Pinball in Portland, Oregon, came here to see what is the hype about one of the, if not the best, arcade run pinball arcade in the entire world, and so he's running tournaments there every Sunday, I believe, kid friendly. Go check out Lentz Pinball Arcade, right? Is that fair? Is that fair to shout out? You know, he didn't pay me for that, but he just seemed like a nice guy.
So after I hit that 5X on the fly and then hit it into the saucer, notice that the middle pop bumper throws it through this spinner while it's lit to add bonus. And then I hit it on the fly back up through this spinner.
Right. And you build huge bonus.
And as this left spinner is winding down, the ball comes up here and hits the switch behind that rubber, which switches the bonus to this spinner and starts adding more bonus.
Ooh, I love that.
And then I think it might have gone in the saucer or something. So that's how I was able to accumulate a lot of bonus. And that is just luck because it could have been not lit, the spinner.
Yep.
You know, so
let's see if we can watch that. All right, so here's what we were talking about, where it's going to up from the upper flipper. Here's the hit off the side, which I really loved, by the way. There it is from the upper flipper, and again upper flipper. And so now you're at 5x bonus, just like you said, went through that spinner at least.
So
there,
here it throws it down through the left spinner.
Yep.
And then I hit it through the right spinner.
Such a good point.
And then it goes into the saucer. So at that point, I'm at 21,000.
So I want to show the super bonus right here, the 20. That means on every ball you're going to have minimum 20,000, and you could get to 30, and you could get to 40.
Right. Now here I didn't even try to drop catch. I just had to read that it's just going to land on the.
And now we're at 2,000 per spin on that shot, and that's why you're going to see his score go up here. Plus getting globe letters, 50K for every time you spell globe.
So that was just a lucky bounce from the right. I didn't nudge at all, and I just got a very favorable in-lane.
I want to point out your 30K super bonus right now, and you're at 5x for hitting all those 4 drops down.
So at this point, I was feeling good, of course, because, and I'm just, like when the ball's not going out for you, you just feel, you just roll with it,
Right, as you should. And that would have lit extra ball, by the way. Which you do collect, but extra ball is not on.
So that was another one that came down that slingshot, and I just thought the best idea was just shoot it. And just from...
But look at this bonus, by the way.
Playing pinball all weekend, you're just in a kind of a zone where you feel like you're accurate, and it worked out.
Yep. And so that one...
Neil congratulated me on that ball.
Nice, he deserved it. Neil having a foot injury and playing without shoes, soldiering on.
You would think you'd want the shoes on if your foot's injured.
Look, you know what? Who's an expert in foot injury here?
So here he got the saucer, and he did have a very good game in qualifying. So
Neil's an amazing player. This is well known. Let's see his rolling. Look, see what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
All 3 of these guys. I would love to see you try that one time. I'm just saying. I know. Look, I know you said we didn't get a chance during this, but I want to see separately at the bat. I want to see your rolling tap passes. All 3 of these guys are killers at it. John, if you played them, these same players, over and over and over again, how many times would you win finals? Is that a fair question?
It's a fair question. I don't have a fair answer.
Okay. It's a fair answer. All right, so Arvid stepping up for his ball 1. Seeing your monster score of 540,000. Now, these guys have rolled this game before, I know, and they can.
Now, 2 of these players are from Europe. I don't know if the...
Maybe they play Harlem. They play Harlem
affecting them. The jet lag could have been affecting them, but
right. It's fair.
I was comfortable with Joker Poker in this. I felt like my accuracy was good. You saw that I hit the spinner pretty easily when I had it on the right flipper.
Yep.
So if I played these players again, several times, are they going to beat me? There's a very good chance. But
look at that. Look how sick those immediate drops are. But a tough bounce there. Sorry, you were going to say, John.
I felt on this particular game, my accuracy was as good as theirs.
I like that.
Now, if I played them again this week or next week, would that happen again? Maybe not.
Right. Now, how much were you thinking in your head you're going to win this game at this point, being in the lead at 540? Or were you not thinking that yet?
I thought I had a good chance, but I know these players are all good, and just like I had that one good ball, they could have a good ball. I knew that having the...
Now, what should he have done right there? Could we say it? He's upset at himself.
I don't think he could have saved it.
Well, here's what I'm saying. For a moment, it was hung up on the top of the sling.
Right.
And I think you could have done an up nudge on that to save it. And
you
it might have
that two,
hit
there,
hit
two of
there,
the players,
bounce back like that.
2 players tilted during this.
Up. The reason I focus on the up nudge is up nudge tilts less than a left side to side nudge. Is that fair?
Depends.
Depends on the nudge, I suppose, right?
Neil Graff tilted ball 1. You probably didn't even notice.
I mean, on this particular stream, we didn't talk about it. But,
right, but I don't know if you noticed it during when he was playing.
Now, he did hit it. He did hit it, but he did a side hit instead of the up nudge.
Well, Bob pointed out on the stream that
I say that with love, Timber.
That the plastic is kind of offset, so you don't see where the rubber is. So here I know I have 30,000 super bonus.
Yeah, let's point that out here. Again, I just want to point out this 30K. So at the end of this ball, you're going to get 30,000 bonus no matter what you do, and you can multiply that with the drops, as we said. 2,
and I was
3,
able to.
5x
I had
bonus.
the skill shot down pretty good. I just wanted to plunge into that saucer, which I did.
Now that's a nice shot on the a nice choice. You almost.
And here,
but we're not going to talk about it. You almost went between the flippers there.
But I end up going in the in lane. I end up shatzing the in lane and getting double switch hit for going up over the right in lane and down.
Right, which is why you're at 40K super bonus
right.
It
gave me 3,000 for going up and 3,000 for coming down.
And so that's why you're getting such a huge bonus. You're at 40K plus the bonus X that you got.
And I don't know if I could have saved
40
that.
Plus K.
On the stream, they said, he already had the 43 times 2.
Times 2, right. And so that's 86,000. And you know what? You're right to take that 86,000 to the bank.
I slowed it down. I had watched the stream, and it was very close. Like, maybe I could have got the tip of the flipper on it. But if I had tried and, shoved it and tilted and then end up losing by 50,000, I would have been very disappointed.
I could see that.
Because at this point, I knew I was ahead of
great tap pass, by the way.
I knew Timber had already played 2 balls, so I had a clear lead on him. I was worried about these 2 players. I was mostly worried about Arvid because he has
nothing you
points.
can do about that, by the way. It was a perfect shot.
Right, and that's what I'm saying on this.
You could get unlucky on this game, right? And Neil did so much to save the ball, too, there. Like at one point it was going here, and he nudged it to get it out of that danger area. So, I mean, he fought hard for that ball. And now Arvid has, I'm sure, rolled many a Harlem 2A's Globetrotters in many times.
I believe Timber or somebody had over $1 million in qualifying on this.
Here has a choice, by the way, because he had a trapped, but he went for upper flipper off of the trap.
Right.
Which is interesting.
Well, that's what Will was saying. See, that one he got in a little trouble.
Here's my point.
I think he tried to tip pass that, and he didn't.
I think he tried an Ostermeyer. And for those in the crowd, here's what I'm saying. We're gonna go back to that one.
I think it was more of a tip pass because he was doing that.
So what I mean by Ostermeyer is right here, trying to hit it back. Not there. I'm sorry, but it's coming up soon. Like here. I think
he was trying to tip pass it
to the left. You think he's
he
right
was
to
trying
left
to tip pass it,
and not the Ostermeyer?
Right, because I've seen him do that other times.
Same flipper.
Right, and he didn't let go of the flipper
You're probably
long
right.
enough.
You're probably right, to be honest. Right.
And on a modern stern, you could probably save it, but the flipper gap's too big on this.
Right. So
at this point, going into ball 3, I was feeling obviously pretty good. I knew that
for your $2,000 minimum,
they would need to get 5x and then even do more than 5x.
Yeah,
because none of them had the super bonus. So even if they had a ball like I had on ball 1,
do you watch their balls, by the way, while they're playing?
Some of them they had it on the big screen. You can see over Adam Horton over here. I think I was over here somewhere, and there was a big screen
back into the
being
left.
projected. Yeah,
this is like the Zapruder film,
where the main bank of games was. Mm-hmm. So I was watching some of them.
So here you are, 7:45. You don't even need to do anything necessarily, but you want to do something.
Well, I'm thinking if I had these first 2 balls as ball 1 and 2, I would probably not have very many points.
Right, good point. So you're at 40 here already, 43K bonus right now. And you don't get much out of this ball, and I don't think there's much you could have done on that one. I'm not gonna blame you on that one.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of luck in these classics, and that could have very easily happened on ball 1.
Yeah,
I mean, how do you separate the skill from the luck?
Well, it's a matter of probabilities multiplying each other in a very complicated formula.
So let's see.
Failed tap on that one.
Right. So even
he does it better than I could. That's for sure.
Right. Every technique, post-transfer, tap pass, nobody can do it 100% of the time.
Right.
Can they do it 99% of the time? I don't think you can do tap passes reliably 99% of the time.
Yeah.
There's always, maybe 5%
not much he could do. I get his frustration there.
He tried to live catch it, and it
didn't work.
Bounced a little bit more to the right than he wanted.
Now, here's where you won, John, at this point.
This is where I won.
The numbers have been added up, and you've won. What's going through your head?
I didn't have a reaction. I just couldn't believe it, because just like you're playing classic games. I know that they're good players, and I had some luck, and I ended up winning.
You beat a lot of good players. You beat Luke Nahorniak, you beat Escher to get there.
But each round that I made it through, I was just thinking.
Tiebreaker with Luke, right?
I was just, like. I felt like there was some luck. Some people had bad luck. I had a little bit of good luck the whole way through the finals. So I wasn't super excited when I won. I just couldn't believe that through all the.
I was pretty excited.
Through all, yeah, I think other people were, but through all the lucks and all the luck that happened, it was just kind of unbelievable that I ended up winning.
Right. Now, several things you get from winning a tournament like this, and I want to know which matters the more to you. Okay, I'll give you some choices. You ready for them?
Okay.
All right, a banner with your name on it. That's there when
That's
you
cool.
go
Last
back next year. You'll see your
was,
name on the banner. In other
right.
words,
Last year
I
it
hope
was.
you take a picture, by the way.
Last year it was Bo and Cairns won the Classic.
That's
so
true.
I'll be on the banner next to him, and that's unbelievable to me because I feel like Bowen's.
You learned by watching his videos, right?
Maybe the second best player of all time.
Wow, that's a bold claim, and it's not a crazy claim.
Keith Elwin and Bowen for many years.
I assumed that was going to be your number one. I wasn't even going to ask you.
You can argue the current players, but I know for a long time he was very good. What's the other choice?
All right, so number one is the banner, right? Number two is the fancy trophy. Okay.
That's nice.
Number three is $4,000 plus.
Right.
Okay. Number four is the pride you feel in yourself. All right. Number five, and I'll renumber these if you need it. Number five is your Whopper points, and you're now ranking as what I believe in the 50s, 56 in the world. At this hobby that we're so into.
And the pro ranking.
Don't forget the pro ranking, of which you're 46?
41.
40. How dare I? I'm sorry. Yes. And we could get into that. There's these two different rankings. And then maybe number six, I'll throw it at you, is 50,000 people watched you win. So it's just like the feeling of having so many people watch you do good at something you've dedicated so many years to. So those are your six choices.
Well, the $4,000, I'd probably take over the trophy if I have to give up one.
Okay, so throw the trophy out.
And maybe over the banner.
You would pick $4,000 over the banner?
Sure.
Let me ask you, banner versus trophy. Trophy you take home with you. Banner, you go and you see it there on the.
Maybe the banner.
I'm not trying to convince you.
But there's another choice, and that's all the people that know me.
Uh-huh.
And knowing,
local people knowing you. And
knowing I know this person that went to this big tournament and won this tournament.
Yep.
Just knowing that, how that affects people.
Yeah, being
and
a
then
local
also,
hero.
there are some people around the country that know me a little bit from seeing me either on the local stream here or seeing me at Pinball at the Lab. I played some other tournaments on the East Coast. And so just knowing that,
you get respect. You've earned some respect.
Yeah, a little bit of respect. So,
right.
I know he's a good player. Oh, he won that big tournament. So maybe it legitimizes me a little bit,
I feel I've always known you to be legitimate and on the up and up, and you deserve this very much. By the way, I don't think it was as much luck as you're pointing to, but I think you absolutely deserve it.
I do think there's a lot of luck.
I know you do.
There is a lot of skill, and it's hard to separate the two.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. In the first round, I was on El Dorado, the first game.
Right. By the way, that's a 15 drop target game. I want to point out. What is the
El Dorado
copy?
City?
You think I'm going to stop with my questions?
El Dorado City of Gold.
There's another game that has the exact same layout.
El Dorado and El Dorado City of Gold.
No, another one.
I don't know.
Alpha Target. Okay. Or Target Alpha, I'm sorry.
Anyway,
15
I had
keep going.
93,000 something after 3 balls. I just had 3 terrible balls. The other guy in our group, I think it was Dave Grant, he was player 3 or 4, and he stepped up with 37,000, and he actually got 2 or 3 flips. And I saw his bonus, which goes from 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, up to 90,000, I think, or 100,000. I saw his bonus go up quickly, several steps, and then it went straight down the middle of him. I saw he had 42,000, and I wasn't sure exactly how much bonus he had, and it went up to 92,000. I had 93,000. So that was the first game of that round. When I won, after we were done the other 2 rounds, I was in the tie with Luke, and I ended up winning that.
Mm-hmm.
The next day, I saw Dave Grant, and he said, "It just hit me today that if I had scored another 1,000 points on that game, I would have been in the tiebreaker with Luke, and you would have been knocked out."
Right.
So you could look at it that I got lucky that he didn't have a good game. You could look at it that I got unlucky. I could have had a better game on Eldorado City of Gold, and then that wouldn't have mattered. But it's hard to separate that luck. Like, I had 3 very bad balls on Eldorado. If I just had 1 better ball, I would have done, a lot better. And I guess in pinball, you just hope that your luck evens out and you're...
Right, and somewhere there's another universe in the multiverse where you didn't get that tiebreaker, and we don't even do this stream.
Right.
Right, and that's not the universe I want to be in, at least.
So, I don't think... There's definitely some skill involved, but there's some luck involved also.
Right. Now, you get asked a question that anyone could have seen coming from a mile away. Did you know the question was coming? And by the way, the question is, hey, John, you're old and these other players aren't. What do you think about that? Now, were you ready to answer that? You gave a beautiful answer, by the way.
I think I was kind of ready.
That's what I was wondering, were you ready to... When did you think of the answer? Before you won the tournament or after you won and you're like, oh, I got to have an answer ready for this question that I know is coming?
When I listen to some podcasts, I hear people always talking, these young kids are winning all these tournaments. And, I wanted to have a response in case that came up.
And you had a great response. I want to tell you. Wait, can you say your response again? Because it's so useful to people.
I think I said something like, if you're playing pinball, you're always young.
You said that exactly. That's true. And I know you to be a very young person. Yeah, absolutely. That's where you said it, and I timed that well, exactly for that moment.
Exactly.
Because it was a great answer to a question that would have come. I would have asked the same question probably, and it was a great answer to that question. And I think that just about does it for the stream. What do you think about that, John?
I think so.
Fair enough.
Well, I encourage more people from Arizona to head out to INDISC next year.
Go out west like the Jodes and Great Expectations.
I want Arizona to be a powerhouse. We have a lot of younger players that are improving, and maybe I'll inspire them and say maybe I can go out there and see how I can do. And I think even if you don't do well at a big tournament like that, it's still a learning experience, and you come back feeling like you played against the other top players in the world, and you played games you weren't familiar with, and some of them, it's a learning experience, and I think it makes you a better player. It just does something mentally when you go travel to another state and play in a big tournament.
Yeah, and you did it, and we thank you. We got to thank Electric Bat, of course, the best arcade in the world, and they sell clothes and merch. Actually, if you go to their shop online, a lot of people don't know that, but it's true. And I want to thank Cale from the production crew here, and his lovely partner Rachel as well, who also is the operator and owner of Electric Bat.
Yes, thank you.
And I want to thank you, John, for sitting through this stream and this interrogation, really, of questions that you handled very well with aplomb.
Thank you for sitting down to do it with me.
I care.
Thank you.
I'm happy for you, and I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everyone. By the way, my name is Serge. This is John Shopple. I've got nothing to promote, but excited for this guy. Thanks, everyone.